Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Jesus Pieces, and today we're going to show you how to produce hydroponic fodder off of corn, barley, oats, or wheat. We're going to show you how to produce this type of hydroponic fodder using simple disposable plates. This is so you can learn in a practical and easy way without having to invest too much money. In order to do this, we're going to need a strainer. We're going to need one of these hand sprayers. Obviously, we need our plates. We're going to use a little bit of bleach. We need a piece of cloth. And here we have our grains that we're going to use today. And down here we have 2 buckets of water. So our first step is selecting our grains, our seeds, which is the most important step here. As I mentioned before, we're going to be using corn, and this is barley right here. The most common seeds, you can use any type of seeds. You can use chickpeas, we call them here garbanzos. You can use lentils, you can use other type of seedlings, but the most common is corn or maize. And then also barley, wheat, and oats are basically the most common grains that you can use to produce this type of fodder. Now, it's really important to mention that sorghum is not really used a lot in this type of production, or is not recommended, because sorghum, when it's a small little plant, it produces this toxin that could be harmful to our animals. So really important to mention that if you're thinking about using sorghum, just remember that most of these varieties, they produce this toxin that could be harmful to our animals. Now, there's some specific characteristics that we need to look at when we're selecting our grain. The first thing is that we need to just, look at them closely and make sure that we don't have too many broken grains, or grains that have been affected by insects, that insects started biting on them. And then also make sure that we don't have grains that have presence of fungi, or grains that have already started to rotten, basically. And the third thing that we need to look in when we're selecting our grain, our seeds, is that try to look for grains or seeds that have been harvested within the last 12 months. The thing is that most of the times when we store our grains for a long period of time, the longer they're stored, they start losing their germination percentage, meaning that not a lot of our grains are gonna germinate. And when we use grains that have been harvested within the last 12 months, this basically assures us that most of the grains that we're going to be using have a high percentage of germination. And let's go ahead and take a look at them at close range. As you can see, this is really quality corn. This is corn that we harvested here at our ranch. As you can see, there's hardly any seeds or grains that are broken or damaged or have been impacted by insects and things like that. And here we have our barley. Same thing. As you can see, most of this grain is really good quality. Most of these grains are gonna germinate without a problem. We do have a little bit of rocks here and there, but we're gonna be cleaning these out shortly in the next step here. The next step is to remove all those impurities, to remove basically all those seeds that might be broken, all those seeds that might be impacted by insects, and all that little debris, all that trash, all that I don't know if you can see on camera, but there's like some of that powder, some of those little flakes. So the objective as the second step is basically to remove all of these impurities. And the easiest way to do this would be using basically water, because when you go ahead and put the seed in water, all these impurities, all these seeds that are unfertile, that are not going to germinate, all of these are going to float up to the surface. So that's basically the next step, to remove all those impurities, and we're going to do this by just go ahead and throwing our seeds in these buckets of water here. And as you can see here, this is our barley seed, and a lot of the unfertile seeds are already floating up to the surface. We can see a lot of like little debris, a lot of little trash, and some of those rocks as well are floating up to the surface. And I'm just gonna go ahead and dump them here in this little bucket so I can feed them to my chickens. It's still good grain for animals and stuff like that. And here, let's go ahead and speed up the process. Go ahead and stir up our water, and keep removing these impurities till they're all gone, basically.
And here it is, we're all done. As we can see, most of the impurities came from our barley seed. Our corn hardly had any seeds, and you can see the water is still cleared. Compared down here with our barley seed, the water is kind of brown. So let's go ahead and remove that water. Let's clean out the water here from our barley into clean water so we can move on to the next step.
Okay guys, the next step is basically disinfecting our grains, our seeds. And to do this, we're gonna use basic bleach that you can find in the supermarket. The correct amount of bleach that is normally recommended is 2 milliliters of bleach for every liter of water that you're using. We don't have something at this time to measure, and I've been doing this for a while, so I'm just gonna use a tiny bit. We're not using a lot of bleach. Remember that the idea here is just to disinfect our grains, just in case if our grains might have some spores from when they were processed or whatever. You know, the main objective here is just to give it that extra disinfect. And the time recommended in bleach is between 15 and 30 minutes, and it's really important not to exceed more than 30 minutes. The reason for that is there's plenty of studies done that show that when we expose our grains, our seeds, to bleach for longer than 30 minutes, it starts affecting our grains, our seeds in a negative way. And really, you just need for the bleach to take effect a couple of minutes. Kind of go ahead and shake that up, and we're gonna leave this here for 15 minutes, and again, don't exceed those 30 minutes. And the next step is basically to remove the bleach water, and we're just gonna dump it out. We're gonna use the strainer, and that way we don't spill our seeds over. Basically, this is how I do it, but you can do it whatever's easier for you, right? Kind of do it like that. Hold the strainer, drain all that bleach water out. And what we're gonna do is basically now move into the next step. So we went ahead and removed all those impurities. We went ahead and added some bleach to disinfect our seed. The next step is basically to leave our seeds in water for 24 hours for our maize or corn, and 12 to 15 hours for our other seedlings, whether it's barley, oats, or wheat. These are all basically the same. Since these are smaller seeds, they only require between 12 to 15 hours. Some people use 10. The idea here is so the seed can soak up the water that they need so they can start their germination process. So we're just adding some clean water here because again we're gonna leave it soaking for the next couple of hours. So.
And here's the place where we're gonna leave them soaking overnight. As you can see, it's kind of a dark room. We hardly use this room, so it's a perfect place for us to use. Now, the important thing here is to just make sure the place you place them, for them not to have direct sunlight hitting them throughout the day. It can be just a random room, but just make sure no direct sunlight.
24 hours later, it's time to drain the water and put our seeds, our grains into our plates. The barley seeds, I drained the water this morning, and the corn or maize seeds or grains are still soaking in water, so let's go ahead and remove that.
And here it is, guys. We drained all the water out. And let's go ahead and take a look at the differences of our seedlings. The seeds on the tops have been soaked for 24 hours, or in our barley seeds 12 hours, but the bottom seeds are seeds that are still dried up. And you can see that they increased in size, and here with our barley seed they changed the color a bit.
Before we put our grains in our little plates, it's really important that we go ahead and make some holes on them. This is because it's really important for the water to drain out. So it's gonna be just a couple of holes something like that. Nothing really fancy. What I'm using, I'm using a pen, but you can use, you know, whatever you have available to you. And again, it's really simple. Just draining the holes here. I'm sorry, making the holes so we can drain out that excess water, right? So there it is. Some holes on that side, and then you can see them on this side. And we're gonna continue doing that. So let's go ahead and do a couple more. Now remember that the reason we are doing this, making the holes here, is because our seeds also need ventilation. They need some sort of airflow, always flowing to help the little plants have, oxygen basically. So once we made our holes in our little plates, the next step is just simply placing our grains here in our plates, like so. Now, the amount of grain that you can use will vary depending on the type of seed and the variety of seed or grain that you're using, since they're all different sizes. But the thumb of rule here is or the recommended amount, it would be between 2 to 3 layers of seed or grains. When we use too much grains or seeds, for example, if we do like 5 or 4 or maybe 6 layers of seed, you're gonna notice that the seeds on the bottom get hydrated more than the seeds on the top, and you have uneven growth through this. So again, the recommended amount is just 2 to 3 layers of grains. And you can as well try at home. At home, you can try maybe doing one of these little plates with a little bit of seed, and then doing another plate with more or much more amount of seed. That way you can see the differences. But basically, that would be the thumb of rule there. And just like that, we're gonna just kind of throw it in there, like so. So in total, we have 9 plates of barley and 9 plates of corn or maize. And just I forgot to mention at the beginning, we started off with 1 kilo of dried up seed. So we'll see how much we can transform that 1 kilo into hydroponic fodder. So the next step would be just maintaining our seeds hydrated, especially during these first couple of days. The thing is that during the first couple of days, the seeds, the grains are really fragile. So we need to keep them hydrated. Once they start getting bigger and once they start developing the root mass, they become stronger, and they can, spend less time without constant irrigations. So in order for us to maintain and keep them hydrated and keep them at the right humidity, the best thing that I found was to use this, a rag or a cloth like this. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically just cut some pieces to the size of our plates, like so. Like this, right? So this is the place where we're gonna germinate our grains, our seeds. This is normally a room that we don't use as much, so it's pretty dark in here most of the time. So when you choose a place where you want to germinate the grains, just make sure it's a dark place, because what we want to do is we want to simulate that our grains, our seeds are on the ground. And the most important thing here is that we need to maintain our seeds, our seedlings hydrated, especially during the first days. After the day 6, 7, and moving forward, or I don't know how to say it, in the following days, I guess I can say, our grains, our little plants are going to start developing their root mass, so they're going to be stronger, and they're going to be able to withstand longer periods of time without being irrigated. But during the first days, it's really crucial to make sure they're always hydrated. This is the reason why we use the little cloth. So I'm going to show you guys two methods of maintaining the grains, the seedlings hydrated during these first couple of days. The first would be like we see here, right, with the rags. We see how we cut them earlier, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here. We're gonna go ahead and irrigate our seeds, our grains, and at the same time we're gonna make sure that our cloth, our rag is soaked as well. Now, really important to remember that apart from our grains that need to be maintained, they need to be stayed hydrated. They also require ventilation. They require a bit of airflow. This is why we're using like just a regular cloth. Because if you look closely, I mean, they have like really tiny holes. And with the holes as well, there are, that we made on our plates. This would allow that airflow that they need. And basically, we're gonna do the irrigation like this. We make sure that the cloth is wet. We make sure we go ahead and provide enough water for our seeds. And we're gonna do this at least 2 to 3 times a day. It is recommended to try to irrigate them at least 3 times a day, but sometimes, we're busy, we have work, and we have other activities during the day. So minimum, try to irrigate them twice a day, once in the morning, once at night before you guys go to bed. Preferably, one in the morning, one midday, and one, in the afternoon at nighttime before you guys go to bed. That would be the ideal, irrigation times. When we produce in a different system, like in a commercial system, those type of systems, they have irrigation systems that have timers, and they pretty much program the times of the irrigations throughout the day, which can be anywhere from 3 to 4 times a day up to like 7, 8, or 9 times a day. But since we don't have that option, we're doing something simple here. This is the reason why we're using the cloth, right, to maintain our grains hydrated during these first couple of days. Now, this would be the second method that you can use. Basically, where you just put one plate on top of the other. And what this would do is this would keep the seedling underneath by covering it. This will maintain the seed hydrated, provided with the enough humidity that it needs, and as well with the hose on the plates. This would allow that minimum ventilation, that minimum airflow that the seed would need. And then the irrigation would be just like this, where you kind of just do this. You lift up the following plate and do something like this. And again, you're going to be doing this 2 or 3 times a day, like so. And then the top plate, this one doesn't have any seed, but the purpose is just to maintain the last plate there, to cover up the last plate basically. And lastly, it's recommended as well to have an inclination, whether you want to maybe incline the table that you're using, or in our cases we're using these trays. What I'm going to do is basically just put this, it's like a random object, just here on this side. That way it has a bit of inclination, and then when we do the watering, or when we do the irrigation, all that excess water is constantly going to be flowing down. Hey guys, welcome back. It's been 3 days up to this point since we started the process, so let's go ahead and take a look at our grains and see how they're doing. First of all, let's go ahead and take a look at our barley. As you can see, the root is growing pretty fast compared to our maize. Our maize, you can barely see the root, sticking out. Hey guys, we're gonna finish up the video here. This is the first part. once the second part is ready, I'm gonna leave you guys the link here, or you're gonna see the follow-up video somewhere around here. So basically, I want to leave it at here because it's still gonna take me another 10 days or so to get the second part out. So in the meantime, you guys have all the information necessary. Just follow the steps. Make sure you do your watering or irrigation at least 2 to 3 times a day, and you're gonna see how the seedlings are gonna keep growing. And make sure to come back and check out our channel, subscribe, give us a like. Go ahead and leave your comment if you have any questions or concerns, and come back so you guys can see the second part of this video, where we're gonna basically just do a follow-up on the each day we're gonna kind of see how the development is going on our hydroponic fodder, and then as we're showing the development and the growth of our hydroponic fodder, we're gonna as well be providing you guys with a bit more information as far as the correct humidity, the temperature, and all that good stuff, right? So again, go ahead and subscribe, and then maybe by the time you see this video, the second part will already be available. So it's gonna be here on top, or maybe somewhere around here where you guys can go ahead and just click over to the next part. And again, this is a new channel. I do have an a Spanish channel that I provide all this information, but this is basically one of my first English videos. So hopefully you guys like it. And again, leave your comments, concerns here in the comments. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I really appreciate it.